So Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler happened, and it was a very, very interesting showcase. Not because of the fight itself. I mean, the fight itself went pretty much exactly how we drew it up in the breakdown. To me, what was more interesting was, for one, the public's reaction to the fight, because a lot of people are now giving Paddy the credit that I do think he's always deserved. For me, I've always felt like Paddy had the raw skills to be very, very good, but he never, ever actually used those skills to their fullest potential until, very recently. To me, though, what was really interesting about this fight was how horrible Michael Chandler is. Michael Chandler is so bad at fighting on every conceivable level. That is what is so astounding to me. Now, remember, the entire breakdown video that I did on this fight, the entire point of it was this fight should not be close because Michael Chandler somehow has been fighting for 17 years and he still completely lacks fundamentals. He just doesn't have any fight IQ. He has never, ever worked on developing his skills outside of being a pure wrestler and a pure overhand merchant. And somehow he exceeded expectations on that front. I left watching that fight in amazement about how somebody can be so one-dimensional and be so bad while having pretty much almost every physical advantage over anybody that he's fighting ever. But, going back to Paddy Pimblett, what still made this fight so interesting was that Paddy Pimblett completely lacked distance management. To me, I think that was the one thing that could still make this fight interesting because, again, right, Paddy Pimblett is fucking massive. He gets up to 235 pounds outside of camp. He would cut back down to 155. Of course, you're going to be huge. He has a really big frame. He's clearly a very good athlete, but he would throw it all away by just choosing random moments to just kind of rush at you with punches with his chin in the air, and he was getting tagged by a tiny Jared Gordon over and over and over again because he wasn't even attempting to maintain space against somebody who he had a massive height and reach advantage against. But what a lot of people will tell you about that fight is, well, actually, Paddy broke his foot round one of that fight. I don't exactly know what that has to do with him, again, just choosing random moments to recklessly blitz with bombs and get himself tagged over and over again. I mean, he didn't break his foot in his Luigi fight, did he? But that was kind of the same approach, just against a much worse fighter. But it wasn't until the Bobby Green fight that we actually saw some massive improvements here, where he did manage distance really well. He did make Bobby Green go first. He was sliding away, landing simple counters, landing a lot of good leg kicks. At one point, landed a leg kick so clean that it knocked Green off balance, forcing him to shoot for a takedown, and then of course the rest is history. I mean, again, that was just the first time that we saw Paddy use his skills to their fullest potential while limiting his opponent's offense, and that was really the one thing that gave me hope for him in this fight against Michael Chandler, because again, Michael Chandler is only capable of essentially, I think, maybe two things. One is rushing at you with overhands, and two, shooting for takedowns and trying to hold you down. That's it. That is it, right? It should be so simple to stop this approach, and Paddy absolutely did. You see, the thing about Michael Chandler is the only time his offense works is if he's the one kind of just rushing at you. Now, right, you'd assume somebody who's been training MMA at a high level for as long as he has, you would assume he's developed some sort of an ability to slip and land counters as you move forward, maybe time something off of you rushing at him, but you'd be mistaken. No, if you push Michael Chandler back, he's got nothing. He has nothing. I mean, literally, there's nothing he can do to stop you other than cover up and try to move away. That was the thing that Paddy did so well. He was maintaining space. He was landing a lot of leg kicks at range. And Michael Chandler, of course, right, there was no check. There was just kind of a lift your leg and eat it sort of mentality from him. Moving away every time Michael Chandler came forward. And when he was up against the fence, he would just sit there and just wait till time. Simple uppercuts, simple simple straight right hands because Michael Chandler, there's no feints. There's no setup to anything. He's just kind of trying to wait for a moment to just go. And then Paddy would kick off the cage, force Michael Chandler back where, again, he's a literal baby if you're pushing him back. He's got nothing in that department. And of course, the real embarrassing thing for me, though, is the fact that Michael Chandler is legitimately a very high-level wrestler. Very high level, very strong. But how have you literally learned zero jiu-jitsu in the 17 years you've been fighting? It was embarrassing. I mean, he would get in on these takedowns against Paddy, pick him up, put him down. You know, again, clearly he's a very good wrestler. But what is stopping Paddy from just turtling to his knees and trying to stand back up? Literally nothing. I mean, look at this back take attempt from Michael Chandler. This was embarrassing how bad this is. I mean, he immediately got way too high, didn't have both of his hooks and slides right off of the top. I mean, I know white belts who are way better at back takes than this. And then, of course, when Paddy gets on top, just slices right through his guard straight to mount, takes his back. I mean, just fundamentally, Michael Chandler has no excuse to be this poor at MMA as a whole. But he's just, really, the truth is, he is from a bygone era. He is from an era where you didn't need to be this well-rounded, and it's costed him, clearly. And you know, what's really not helping the Michael Chandler is a dirty, filthy, rotten cheater allegations is where the fuck was this front kick supposed to go? Where was this supposed to go? Where was he aiming with this? All right. Paddy, even prior to Chandler throwing this kick, Paddy was not at range to even land the front kick to the face like he did to Tony Ferguson. No, Paddy was so close to him, there is nowhere this front kick could have landed other than on Paddy's balls. I mean, there's literally nowhere for this to go. Was this supposed to be a front kick to the chest? How does the angle is not angling here for me, all right? This was a fucking, I think, on my opinion, this was very intentional. He was trying to fucking ruin Paddy Pimblett's chances of having children right here. But now, Paddy Pimblett is officially a top-ranked lightweight. Theoretically, he is one fight away from a title shot. And the question is, how does he stack up to the top of the division? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people never expected him to get here, but he's here. Now, of course, if the UFC is smart, they're going to give him Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is definitely a way more difficult test on the feet than somebody like Chandler. And honestly, I wouldn't be quite ready to say that Paddy has completely evolved on the feet in particular. I mean, again, I think it's the distance management that has really changed for Paddy on the feet. Now, he did overall, I think, do a much better job in this fight of mixing combinations together with the kicks and the punches together, which is very important. But his chin is definitely still very in the air when he's throwing punches, which I do think somebody who is a more proficient counter puncher could take advantage of. I just think it would still be very interesting to see Paddy face somebody who's very safe defensively, who can move, who has good footwork, who can slip and counter, someone who can fight moving backwards and moving forwards. Because look, if you're fighting Ilia Topuria, you just cannot allow yourself to get backed up to the fence like we saw Paddy doing against Chandler. This is a death sentence. I mean, if Paddy does end up on his back like this against somebody like a Charles Oliveira in Islam, you know, in Ilia, again, you cannot just turtle to your knees safely. I mean, from this position right here, you're gonna get your back taken with a body triangle against the elite of the division. Of course, that's why Justin Gaethje is the perfect opponent here, because while he is way more dangerous on the feet, he does have footwork, he has decent timing and decent setups. If you were to take Justin Gaethje down, he's pretty much a complete baby on the ground. That is why someone like Charles Oliveira was willing to pull guard against Gaethje. Though he does have this very interesting ability to cause scrambles off of takedown attempts. I mean, we've seen glimpses of it. You pick up a single leg against Justin Gaethje, he'll jump in the air and spin, causes a scramble to get free, and then, you know, ends up on top here against Usman, which, again, we saw this when he fought Michael Chandler, and it would be interesting because, again, Paddy Pimblett, we've never seen him be super takedown heavy in the UFC. In Cage Warriors, he was very single and double leg heavy, which is very important for somebody as good at grappling as he is. But in the UFC, it was pretty much him getting taken down unless he hit you with a judo throw, or he was dead tired against Tony Ferguson round 3 and was desperate to take the fight to the ground. But against Chandler, we did see a moment where he got in on a shot against Chandler, took him down, secured the position, and that is very, very important to his game against guys who are going to be very high-level strikers in the future. I think that, look, as we stand right now, it's just very difficult to be definitive yet about exactly how Paddy Pimblett matches up against the best of the division. But to me, the one important thing that we saw that to me shows that Paddy has completely evolved is an ability to change his game plan, use his skills differently depending on his opponent's strengths. And I really think that is the most important thing that he can have here at the top of the division. But still, I mean, when you look at somebody like Islam Makhachev, who's just so fundamentally sound in every single aspect of MMA, I mean, it's going to be really difficult still based on what we've seen to pick a really solid game plan for Paddy. Even somebody like Charles Oliveira, who is very dangerous on the feet, who is still, you know, a way more technical boxer than Paddy, who at the very minimum is equal on the ground. But, you know, we've definitely seen better wrestling from Oliveira for sure. But again, someone like Justin Gaethje, I think, is got to be the move. Paddy, it's a very good test on the feet. He'll have a massive advantage on the ground. So I really think, you know, Paddy Pimblett is very capable here of getting to a title shot with still the right matchmaking, but, you know, there's still a lot to learn about him. But that is kind of the most interesting thing about Paddy Pimblett.